All right, thank you all for coming today, and welcome to the Venture Mentoring Network. I think most of you hopefully know me, but I'm Lauren Dibble. I'm the program manager for the Venture Mentoring Network. And also, where's Catherine? Catherine's in the back. So we're the primary staff for the Venture Mentoring Network team, and then we have members of our steering committee here also. So for any of our new mentors, please make sure to find myself, Catherine, or anyone with a green ribbon if you have questions about the program. So I also want to thank our host for this afternoon, which is the College of Arts, Media, and Design. Our spotlight speaker will be Dean Hudson, and she'll come up in just a few minutes, and I'll introduce her. But thank you for the College of Arts, Media, and Design for hosting our lunch today. Before we get started, we have a couple updates for the network, and I'm going to ask Dan Gregory to make those updates for us. And Dan is the chair of the steering committee.
Thank you. Hi. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Dan Gregory. I'm co-chair of the Center for Entrepreneurship Education, and I'm co-chair also of the steering committee for VMN. Thank you all for coming here today. They let me come up to the podium to say nice things, and so I'm going to say nice things about two people who have been wonderful, integral parts of VMN. The first one, and if my clicker works, is a gentleman named Dan McCarthy. This announcement was made a while ago to the steering committee, but we felt strongly enough, as Dan has been the donor, one of the two donors that has launched VMN, to announce it to a full lunch. Dan was appointed University Distinguished Professor for Northeastern for his career of providing education to students and scholarship. And so I would like everyone to join me in I would like to ask Dan to stand up. He's snarling at me. And give him a round of applause. The next friend of VMN and friend of mine is a gentleman named, who you all know, Joe Fleming. I got a call. I'm co-chair of the steering committee for VMN, and Joe is, until in a few moments, the co-chair of VMN as well. He called me last week and said while he wants to remain active with VMN, he would like to step down as co-chair. I was happy about the first part, staying involved with VMN, and am sad about the second part, but I understand. I have a personal history with Joe that I'm going to recount just briefly, which started off in 2009 when Tom Moore had given the green light to IDEA, and I was working for a gentleman named Paul Zavracki. And Paul wanted me to meet this guy, Joe Fleming, who had launched something called the Health Science Entrepreneurs out of Bouvet. And we met at Churchill, and Joe, from that moment forward, has been a big supporter of IDEA, of student-led, of the Center for Entrepreneurship Education. But I have to tell you that there is a characteristic of the university that as many resources as we have far more ideas than we have resources to launch. And so as two organizations dedicated to entrepreneurship grew together, there was inevitably times where one felt the other was getting more resources, more attention, more whatever. And while those feelings can be felt, I've had a number of very wonderful conversations with Joe over the time where we've been able to kind of keep the lid on things and work well together. So I'm very indebted to him about that. But it was really when VMN was launched a year and a half ago, where Joe stood up and he said, we're going to share with you our best practices. And we're going to, and by we, he meant Chris Ford, Julie, Eliza, and the full health science entrepreneurs team met with us really every 2 weeks for about 6 months to try to impart the best practices that we could use for a model for VMN that is different than health science entrepreneurs in terms of its scope. But Joe put aside his interest, his immediate interest in health science entrepreneurs to serve the university community and to serve entrepreneurship at Northeastern. And I personally am terribly indebted to him. And I have, Joe, a small token of our appreciation for you if you could come up and grab it from my mitt.
Thank you, Dan, and I'll just reiterate congratulations to Dan McCarthy, and thank you, Joe, very much. You have been absolutely critical to getting VMN off the ground and continuing to move forward, so thank you. So I am now pleased to introduce our spotlight speaker for this afternoon, which is Dean Elizabeth Hudson. She's a professor and the dean for the College of Arts, Media, and Design. I'm going to read a brief introduction, although it could be much longer because she's a very accomplished woman. But just for some background, she joined the College of Arts, Media, and Design at Northeastern University last July in 2015. She's a leader, an accomplished scholar, and she came to Northeastern from the New Zealand School of Music, Victoria University of Wellington, where she was a professor of musicology. She was the inaugural director of the New Zealand School of Music from 2006 to 2013 and oversaw a number of successful initiatives to advance the school's academic research programs and international profile. She crafted a vision for the school, providing rigorous musical and academic leadership across the disciplines, fostering new modes of interaction between music and other disciplines, and recruiting outstanding faculty from across the globe. Before her tenure at New Zealand School of Music, she led both faculty and administrative leadership positions at the University of Virginia, where she worked to forge relationships across a range of disciplines from media studies and women's studies to engineering. So she's had a very, very successful academic and professional career, and I am very pleased to introduce Dean Hudson.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's terrific to be here. It's great. I'm sort of reflecting on being a little bit, almost being here a year and still finding all the things I have to learn about Northeastern and the great things that are at Northeastern. And this group, it's great to have a sense of who you are and how we can interact with you. One of the things about Northeastern that I'm finding so thrilling is groups like this that are so fabulous and I think offer such a unique opportunity for how we can forge what our particular educational model can do in the world. So I'm really excited. I thought that what I would do is share a little bit with you a little bit about who we are. I'm sort of assuming that we're a smaller college and you might not have that strong a sense of exactly what are we. And I thought I'd also give you a little sense of some of the directions that we're developing and how I see us relating to the entrepreneurship culture of Northeastern in, I think, really important ways, things that we are already doing, and I think ways in which we can continue to develop and become even more important. Part of what we can sort of start with is the fact that as a college, we're not a typical arts college. You wouldn't call us a performing arts college. You wouldn't call us an arts college. The combination and range of disciplines that we bring together is in itself really exciting and really broad and invites us to think in very non-traditional ways about how we situate ourselves in the world. So the fact that we do art and design and music and theater might be what you see as a little bit more typical arts college, but then the fact that we also do architecture and communication studies and journalism and extend to things like game design, media studies, that provides a really fascinating infrastructure and culture, just even within the college itself that invites us to think about all sorts of ways of communicating and educating our students to think in extremely creative ways. And one of the things that we've concentrated on to begin with is articulating, partly for ourselves and partly for the university at large, the way in which all of the disciplines that we teach really encompass critical perspectives on what we call the new literacies. A lot of people talk about the new literacies as something that is absolutely central for higher education in order to have things like entrepreneurship function in relationship to higher education. And that is specifically creativity, collaboration, and communication, which is really sort of at the heart of all of the disciplines that we have in CAMD, are teaching very, very particular skills for creativity, collaboration, and communication. And because of that, we can sort of see the ways in which we see ourselves as nurturing creative talent and really thinking quite self-consciously about how we build the capacity for innovation, what we're doing to sort of help that, both for the students within our college, but actually even more importantly, for all sorts of students across the university. I think we have a very, very particular role to play, which is exciting. And that's built on sort of core aspects of what's already in place, but we're developing rapidly to expand on that and put forward new initiatives that speak even more clearly about how those fundamental skills and attributes can be presented to the university community. We are developing quite a number of new initiatives, and in the first instance, what we're doing is concentrating on the kind of collaborations that we can have across disciplines, even within our college. We also work to collaborate in very explicit ways with the College of Engineering, the College of Business, College of Computer Science, College of Humanities and Social Sciences. So that idea of building programs that are not your typical program, but cross a lot of boundaries is some of what we do. And one of the programs that has been under development and which we're accelerating a little bit in relationship to our graduate profile as well as our undergraduate is the field of experience design. And it sort of illustrates the way in which you have a kind of field which is functioning out in industry, does not typically have a strong profile within a university setting, and yet which we can provide really exciting work in activating more traditional approaches within our disciplines, but to apply them in non-traditional ways. So within the arts, we know a lot about the nature of experience. That's sort of what we all do. We talk about creative experience and we forge various forms of thinking about experience, but we don't tend to put that into the service of how do people go out in the world, in industry, and actually craft design experiences. So it's a way of activating a lot of traditional knowledge within our fields in very non-traditional ways. So that's the kind of work we're doing in those new initiatives within the college. We also have an emphasis on minors that we're busy creating, many of them crossing disciplines within our college, to again make these skills and competencies that I was pointing to more accessible to students, again, both within our college, but for all sorts of students who don't have time to think about maybe doing more than taking a class in photography, which seems fun, but won't necessarily spend the time to really gain the competencies that I think we can offer. So we are looking at particular minors in communications, professional communications, minors also in creativity, minors that stress collaboration, and minors that work on the maker culture and what we have to offer to that maker culture. A lot of people are talking about higher education today as really being now more and over, this is the generation of makers. And what particular skills do we have to offer to really encourage and enliven that culture in particular ways? One of the things that I think is great about our disciplines within Northeastern is also the idea that so much of what we do is experiential already. We talk about the beautiful relationship between experiential learning when you go out in the workplace and then you come back in the classroom. And we have the wonderful advantage of doing a lot of experiential learning within the classroom as well. And so getting students to sort of focus on that nature of the experiential is one of the things that, again, is really important for thinking about things like creativity and collaboration that you need for entrepreneurship. And I think, in general, one of the things that's critical about a college like ours is the kind of students we attract, and we're working to attract much more broadly interesting students, and the kind of faculty that we attract, who are an incredible resource for the whole university, again, for these fundamental skills. So what is it that we have? I just wanted to take the opportunity to point a little bit, talking about all the great vision and development of new things that are going on, but there's so many fabulous things that are in place that have been in development for a while, and I just want to take the opportunity to point towards some of those amazing achievements that are already in place and that are fueled by the kinds of things that I'm talking about in the College of Arts, Media, and in design. It's interesting even to note this year for the RISE competition and for 2016, how dominant our CAMD students are for winning those prizes. And they've been doing that for a number of years. It's not just this year, a new achievement. So really pointing to the way in which they're fueling these kinds of innovative designs. And I wanted to point to the way in which you can think a little bit about some of what we do in ways that we don't typically connect up to entrepreneurship, but ways in which we can think about even the emphasis on theater productions, which both theater majors and non-majors can join in, and how much that notion of what goes into creating the team for a theater production can become a sort of microcosm for a lesson in entrepreneurship and in what you need to do to create a successful entrepreneurial enterprise and how you have to connect up with the public. So those are some of the traditional things we do. I want to point to a particular quotation, which is interesting, comes from journalism, which again I think is often not seen as necessarily being so critical for creativity and these kinds of things. But here's one journalism student from the New Media Innovation program. I feel like a box of creativity in my head that I never knew has now been ripped open. Here I've learned what's possible. And that idea of really sort of opening up possibilities for students, getting them to think about how they relate to the world in new ways, I think we can all see is so critical to the spirit of what we need in order to fuel entrepreneurship. And within that, some of just the senior capstone projects this year that we've had come forward that have been featured pretty prominently point to the way in which our students are putting this into practice. And critically, the two that I'm bringing out here are done in a collaborative way across colleges, not just within the College of Arts, Media, and Design. So the Feed Me Boston food truck tracker that was put forward, it seems really cool to me, was actually a capstone project of two students within Arts, Media, and Design with two students from computer science. So a great sort of pairing. And then we have another project which was really great with the pictures is being featured there for reimagining Forsyth Street and really sort of thinking about a different way to imagine that space. And that's sort of striking because, again, of the teamwork that was involved, a team of 20 students with the capstone project crossing the fields of engineering, architecture, and graphic design. So again, the kind of teamwork that's needed in the world for all sorts of things is already taking place. And it's great that I think we have the opportunity to build on that even more. I certainly wanted to take the time to point again to so many of the great initiatives that are already in place. The one that I hope, how many of you are familiar with Scout? I've heard of Scout? Good. I was hoping that that would be the thing that you really knew about CAMD, and I'm glad to see that I'm right. So it's a fantastic student-led design studio. And what's great about Scout, watching it this year, getting to know it this year as a newcomer myself, is watching how amazing the students are, not just to be doing the work and getting so involved in this professional opportunity. That's great, that's very inspiring, but really in taking the time to build the infrastructure of leadership so that it can continue and go. That as they cycle through, they're looking at creating something that can be sustainable, can build for future generations, new students coming in. It's not just a one-off. And I think that's a fantastic testament to what's going on with the students, not just the sort of creativity and exciting things that they're coming up with themselves, but that they're troubling in their very limited time here, really, to build for the future and to build the kinds of networks and infrastructure that can continue to inspire students. So the Spark Gallery is much more, a much newer project, and it's taking the same sort of principle of a contemporary art gallery, but thinking specifically about how to get students to focus on the economic opportunity in relationship to their art and sort of building that. So it'll be great to see what happens and how that's taken further. And then another student-led project that has been in place for some time is Green Line Records, which within the music department is doing the same thing, thinking very much about those connections with how they can place all the things that they learn from their classes, from their programs of study, in relationship to real-world contexts and getting that real opportunity and that training. So I'm talking a lot about all the great things that go on in CAMD, and I just want to, as I'm closing here, just point a little bit to something that I think CAMD has a particular opportunity here, and something that's been talked about nationally a lot, more and more, and that is how central the fields of arts, crafts, creative endeavor, the fields that we represent within CAMD are in fact the essential background tools for doing anything. And I like this little quote that I pulled out, that more than 80% of innovators surveyed certainly recommend arts and crafts education as an essential background. I think there were another about 17% that said it was important, not just the most important thing. And so you have a real consensus from people involved in the field of innovation that say that these are fields that need to be activated. And I think what I'm really excited about within CAMD is the nature of the construction of the college, together with the support and context of Northeastern University, I think allows us really to take the lead in how the arts can get past their more traditional the view that people have of them and become absolutely essential for everyone who's doing all sorts of things in relationship to the world, in relationship to innovation, including the fields of scientific and engineering endeavor. So I'm excited about that. I guess I don't want to talk on, and I'm happy to take questions. I'm not sure what your format is, but I'd love to hear from you and engage with you if you have questions.
Just to make sure that we ask questions into the microphone so that we capture them for the video. Questions? Yeah? Catherine's got a microphone behind you.
Yeah, I was wondering about the Forsyth project. Where would that stand? Is that strictly a student project, or is the university facility somewhat involved in that, I hope?
I hope someone picks it up. It hasn't been yet. So far, it's a capstone project, and I think a beautiful work that they did, really in-depth study, and I certainly hope that it is something that's picked up, but it hasn't. As far as I know, it has not attracted any particular attention as an actual project.
Given all the emphasis on smarter buildings, I know we have a really good architecture department at the university. Are there ventures being created in that specific field that that you see or aware of, and what do you think we can expect in the future? I know that the integration of computing and sensors and IoT, and then just good architecture, it's where it's happening around the world.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I think what we have right now is we have a faculty in architecture who are amazing, who have so much to offer and are all involved in that. Right now, the School of Architecture is, I think, very much like the field of architecture at large, very much centered on training professional architects and giving them all these tools. One of the specific things we're talking about is how to extend that, so that I think this is critical. I know there's a lot of the faculty I've been speaking with within architecture who are also very excited about the opportunity to say, yes, of course they will continue to train professional architects, and that is their core business, and they will do that. But they have so much more to offer, both in relationship to research and, you're right, in relationship to some real ventures, to put some of this stuff into place and to think about it in a different way. So we're engaged in talking about exactly that issue. How do we shape the curriculum? It's a little tricky because we must make sure that we keep the accreditation in place. We can't do anything that threatens accreditation. So we're thinking about exactly how do we extend so we invite many, many more ventures. I mentioned the RISE Awards and our success in the RISE Awards. That's led absolutely by the architecture students. They're the ones who have been really taking that. So they're doing the work, they're getting the training, but we haven't connected them up as well we could. I've actually talked a little bit as well, some of the things that we struggle with within the field of the arts. I've worked within this field for way too long now, is actually architecture models the way we need to get out of it, because they are pragmatic and theoretical, and they do the research, they do it all, but they do it all for themselves. And so they, I think, is what they partly need to teach us how to expand all of that, and we need to help them have a much greater impact outside of their field.
Any other questions?
I'm in the software industry, and one of the biggest challenges we have is user experience, user design, UX professionals. Is this an area of interest or curriculum here?
It's a part of it, but it's with the field of experience design, that's partly based on the user experience design, and that is a small part, but I think we're moving beyond that. So that's one piece as opposed to the centerpiece.
There's a huge shortage of that skill right
Yeah.
now.
I've been interested, just as we've shaped the sort of the need for experience design more broadly, which again does encompass the user experience interface as well. And I've been shocked by, it's new to me, I'm sort of hearing and sort of picking up on this is a great area of development, it's all very exciting. I thought, yes, this makes sense for me. But going out and talking to industry, they're all there, and they are desperate for these kind of thinkers and people. I was quite surprised to discover that, in fact, I'm busy saying, oh yeah, and that's interesting for journalism too, and only to find out that they're already hiring journalists in these kinds of fields. Again, this is where industry has moved and recognized that these storytelling skills, thinking about the nature of how we craft experience, how we understand experience, they're being hired, but we're not creating and sort of focusing students on that kind of opportunity. So yes, I see that as something so important, and I know there's a shortage, which is great. There's not a whole lot of shortages in areas in which the arts can contribute for jobs, so that's a good one.
All right, I'm going to thank Dean Hudson for her time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Dean Hudson. And so we're going to move on to ventures, two of which are actually ventures coming out of the College of Arts, Media, and Design. And I think, and I'll be corrected very quickly if I'm wrong, but I think that University and Dash have both worked with Scout. Is that right? No? Never mind. Maybe we'll someday. We'll see. No. So there's a lot of collaboration going on, and if you have more questions about the College of Arts, Media, and Design or any of the programs that Dean Hudson mentioned, please get in touch with us or her. I think you'll be sticking around for our final networking part, or do you have to run?
I probably have to go
Okay.
pretty soon.
But we can put you in touch if, yeah. Yep. Great. So yeah, so let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to put you in touch. So we have 3 great ventures today, like 2 of which I said are from the College of Arts and Media Design, the other College of Computer Science. But we also have 2 ventures on your tables in the center. There's 2 other alumni ventures that reached out recently that we couldn't fit into the program, but they are looking for mentors. One is called Rise. It's a B2B 3D printing company, and they're looking for some help with their pricing strategy, as well as another group called Atrium, which is doing some campus card management solutions, and so they're looking for some management strategy. There's more details on here. Talk to Catherine and I if you have questions or if you think you might be able to help these ventures. We can send out more details, but just want to try and find mentors for all the ventures that we can, even if they're not up here today. So a couple of reminders before you get into the venture presentations. Again, they are not pitches. They're presenting who they are, what they're doing, and what they need help with. So they're not going to get into the business model and a lot of the nitty-gritties. We certainly encourage you to review that with them if you're interested in becoming a mentor. But for the purposes of today's presentations, it's just informative about what they're doing and how you can help them. And then also, if you are interested, if you think you can help any of the ventures that present today, please make sure to fill out your interest form. It's that blue paper, just your name, and let us know what you think you can help with, or if there's a connection that you can make. So our 3 ventures for today are DashElectric, Fit University, and Jobletics. And I'm going to ask Greg Dalmolay to come up and introduce Dash. Or you can do it from your chair, yeah.
I've actually been given a microphone, so I'll just do the introduction from here. For those who don't know me, my name is Greg Dalmolay. I work in the Center for Entrepreneurship Education, overseeing venture incubation, and I'm here to introduce Ian Carlson and DashElectric. Now, I'll let Ian talk about the product, but Ian's a senior student in the College of Art, Media, and Design, studying design, and in his spare time has taught himself robotics. His knowledge of robotics is more than just a little hobby. In fact, we were just talking about when we first met, I brought him for a coffee with a friend of mine who's a PhD in robotics. And it took about 30 seconds before I had no idea what the 2 of them were talking about, and sort of looked out the window for about a half an hour, and then we left, and I said, "How was that?" And he said, "That was good." So, in the time from then to now, I've actually watched Ian go through many successful prototypes, and I would describe him as a product-focused technologist, a lot of passion around the product itself. And I think as you listen to him today, think about who in this room could help him finalize really the production model of this product, and then actually look at some of the options to really bring that product to a large audience and bring it into the marketplace. So with that, I'll introduce Ian and DashElectric.
Hey guys, thank you for coming here today. I really appreciate you and your interest in helping out the ventures at Northeastern. So I grew up in the suburbs, and I got really accustomed to door-to-door transportation. So getting in the car, driving, and then getting out, and I'm immediately wherever I wanted to be. And then I came to Northeastern and very quickly realized that public transportation is very far from a door-to-door service. And also, taxis and Ubers are great, but are a very expensive way to have as your kind of go-to method for getting around. So basically, I worked on this electric skateboard you saw in kind of the first slide, and I wanted to kind of illustrate, just this issue that, we've been dealing with, and it's called the last mile problem. And the last mile problem is seen in cities across the world, even where public transportation is abundant and very well maintained, like Denmark and Copenhagen. And this essentially was my commute from Northeastern to Somerville, where my favorite climbing gym is. And this was kind of the first inkling I got of kind of this problem before I actually knew of kind of its global impact. And as you can see on the left from Google Maps, there is no single way to cover this it's 3.9 miles away. If you drive there, it's about 20 minutes. But if you take public transportation, it takes about any combination of 2 trains and a bus, or 2 buses and walking. So it's really just like a really complicated and stressful process. Not to mention, it also takes about twice as long to get to this climbing gym that's only about 5 miles away. So I wanted to streamline this and make this something that I could handle on a daily basis. And to do that, I basically made an electric skateboard. And the reason for choosing an electric skateboard as kind of a platform for kind of personal transportation is that it's extremely lightweight and small, so you can actually bring it with you on any train, bus, or car. Which is really, really great that you don't need to lock it up anywhere you go, and you can kind of always have it on your person. But the longboard, before you put any motors on it, is kind of, it's really great because it's so light, but anywhere where there's hills, you have to push your way up, and then there's no brakes going down. So it's really not optimized for anywhere unless there's flat ground. So we decided to add motors to that, and that basically gives us the ability to push you uphill and do all the work for you, as well as brake going downhill. And this really impacts just from this one commuting example, that you can take one train and ride Dash to finish that last mile, or just skip the train entirely and ride Dash the entire way. And this idea of working with public transportation instead of against it is kind of what we're really trying to bring to cities and college students. So we've come up with a really interesting solution to actually making electric skateboards. So one of the reasons you're not seeing a lot of electric skateboards out there right now is that there are a lot of really expensive options, and those are really the only ones out there right now, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But we essentially came up with a way to streamline our manufacturing and essentially create this enclosure that has all of our electronics in it, and it attaches to any skateboard in about 5 minutes with no drilling, power tools, or adhesives. And this is something we're actually working on getting a patent for right now. And there's a lot of stuff internally in the enclosure I can't really show right now, but we also created a hub motor. So that's actually a motor that you can screw onto any truck. Truck is essentially the axle on a skateboard. You can screw it on any skateboard axle on the market like a normal skateboard wheel and plug it into this enclosure. So this gives us the really interesting opportunity of not only selling a complete electric longboard, but a retrofittable kit. So for existing longboarders, price is one of their top priorities in transportation. So by eliminating that cost of the deck, the trucks, and all the other wheels, we can essentially sell them a kit that they can retrofit and upgrade their longboard to make electric. And then we can also sell a completed longboard already for people that don't have one yet. So this is, let's see if this works. All right, so this is kind of a quick little demo of how it actually attaches. So you essentially just remove your existing wheels, unscrew your truck, put in our box, put your trucks back on, and put your wheels on, and you're ready to go. So this takes, like I said, about 5 minutes. It's extremely simple, and we'll have front headlights and rear lights just for kind of safety of driving through the city. So like I mentioned before, we have a bunch of competitors out there, but they all are actually extremely expensive. So Marble and Boosted are kind of our two big competitors right now. They're very similar in terms of kind of performance, but as well as their price range. So what they actually do is they build their electronics into every single deck. So that requires drilling, routing channels for wires, screwing in things, and modifying essentially every component of the longboard. So that takes a lot of man hours, and it's not really an automated process. And that turns a $200 commuting option into something that's well over $1,000. And they actually, everything with theirs is actually hard set in the board. So anytime you need to do maintenance on the battery or anything like that, you actually have to send it back to them. So our kit also is completely modular. So this gives us the ability to hot swap battery packs and electronics that are all user replaceable. And where that really comes in is the price point. So this simplicity in the actual manufacturing process saves hundreds of dollars per board in our manufacturing line. And that doubles as a way for us to essentially increase our product line into having that kit and the complete. So as we're moving forward, we're getting ready for a Kickstarter actually, and most of our components are pretty close to being production ready. We are looking for help in optimizing our manufacturing of that enclosure so that it's scalable as we are moving into larger and larger volumes, not just the 100 to 200 orders that we were expecting from Kickstarter. We're also looking for kind of help or mentors in e-commerce, so bringing all of these urban commuters and longboard enthusiasts to our website, as well as kind of like Amazon Launchpad and kind of the various online retailers we're going to be using. So thank you again for coming today, and I'll be in that back table there after this. Thanks.
Thank you, Ian. Do you want to stay up just in case there are any questions? Are there any questions for Ian? David, Catherine's going to hand you a mic. Right behind you.
Oh, thank you. Hi. I can't help but think this is such a great idea, but is it limited to a target market of young people, considering that you have to be agile, you have to have balance? I mean, are middle-aged people going to get on this thing?
So we found from a lot of kind of market research that our biggest audience is definitely the kind of younger, young professional kind of college student market. We do know of quite a few. I'm not going to say older, but maybe it's kind of post having children, I guess. I'll say it that way. And we're finding that people are actually looking for a more reasonable way to kind of get around the city with something a little bit more lightweight. So ease of use is actually something we've been putting a lot of time into, and kind of as the design student, the whole experience of the board is really important. So we actually totally redesigned our drivetrain. We put a ton of time into making a belt-driven system where there's essentially this motor that sits outside of the wheel and uses a belt to drive the wheel, but that actually creates kind of this jerky acceleration off the start. So we developed this in-wheel motor specifically for the kind of smooth and quiet acceleration. We also have a beginner mode that limits the acceleration and top speed, so you can essentially stand on the board and press forward on the remote, and that will kind of do all the hard work for you, and it basically removes the learning curve of it. So pretty much anyone can ride one.
Okay, thank you.
I think you have a very clever way to solving technical problem, reducing cost, but you should look at the fate of Segway, because they had clever ideas, but they never addressed some behavior, safety, parking, all other aspects, and they died because and they had a cachet behind them, and obviously different price range and so on. But I think you should definitely look at these aspects and put them in front of your solution rather than kind of go with the technical solution, which is very clever. I give it to you.
Okay. Yeah, so in terms of safety, I feel like is one of our kind of biggest concerns that we hear from people. It does go faster than a normal longboard, which is definitely a concern. But the actual fact that you have brakes and powered wheels essentially lets you roll over any kind of small potholes or bumps in the road. And that idea of having the regenerative braking allows you to stop and go in traffic or riding around campus so you're not hitting or kind of running into people. And then there's kind of in terms of the cool factor, people definitely look cooler riding an electric longboard than they do riding a Segway. As I've personally raced Segways on the road on the Segway tours with like the yellow helmets, and they always look jealous that I'm on something much smaller.
What market research have you done on the range? Because you talked about going 4.5 miles to your Somerville place and then back again, which is 9 miles round trip, right, but you only have an 8-mile range on your board.
Exactly. So so range is kind of an interesting problem. So our battery packs are actually user hot swappable. So you could always carry an extra battery pack, but we're actually using some really interesting battery chemistries that aren't super widely used today, actually, but they can actually rapidly charge up to 85% in about 15 minutes. So you could get an additional 5 miles of range very, very quickly. And our charger is small enough that you can keep it in a backpack or kind of any bag that you need to recharge it. Most people, from kind of the user experience research we've done from like census data and whatnot, is actually most trips just in general, from even in a car, are under 5 miles. Using alternative transportation, the average is about 3.5 miles for any trip, whether it be for work or for just going to the grocery store.
So Ian, it's nice to see a venture that's not another app. So, coming from an engineer.
Thank you.
So two questions. How far along is your development? It wasn't clear from your presentation. It looks like you have a prototype, but where does that stand? What technical challenges do you have left? And do you have any IP?
Sure. So yeah, so we're working on our IP right now. We just are starting to work with Foley Hoag. We have some credits with them to get our patents kind of started and putting those in. In terms of hurdles, development costs has consistently been our biggest hurdle. So we actually just applied for a gap fund at Northeastern to help pay for a mold for that enclosure. But yeah, essentially money has been kind of our biggest issue, just because, you know, prototyping and getting in these components that are quite a bit larger than most kind of connected hardware these days is extremely expensive. So yeah, any kind of help in, you know, try to save costs and maintain like a high quality, durable product is kind of what we're really looking for right now.
I think so. This is going to be the last question for Ian, just because we want to make sure we have time for all the ventures.
Is this thing on? All right. So great stuff. It looks like you're trying to solve the last mile, as you had mentioned. But it seems like all your IP and all the things that you're working on are in and around the motor, the battery technology and stuff. You're trying to solve the last mile, and is it your first use case to use the longboard and this technology, and that ultimately this technology could power other things that might be more suitable to the broader market, or are you always going to be just focused on the longboard?
Yeah, so part of what we're working on, and this is going to come through in our marketing more in the future, is our goals are really not to be an electric longboard manufacturer. We really want to make end-to-end solutions for urban commuting and just getting around the city in general. So a lot of our electronics and kind of just the knowledge we have of developing this kind of small, simple product are going to slowly kind of transfer from one product to another. So down the line, we actually are planning to essentially make this electric moped that kind of sounds like a motorcycle and price it for around $3,000. It'll get you about 60 miles of range, and we're trying to open up the market, you know, away from just the kind of young professionals that would want to ride a skateboard, and trying to slowly build bigger and bigger vehicles that can be open to a wider audience.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
So next up is Fit University, but before Sarah comes up, I'm going to have Bob Lentz introduce her.
So, David, I did stand on that board, and that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, Ian took my name off the prospect list right away. So I'm going to introduce you to Sarah Gaines, and before I do, I want you to be prepared. Her energy and enthusiasm is very infectious. So I met Sarah about a year ago. She came in to talk about a problem she was very passionate about, which was around good eating and fitness, to which I reacted, "Get out of here, my wife sent you in?" But what started out as a blog that she promoted to her friends and other students at Northeastern has turned into a big community that is outside of Northeastern, is expanding to colleges throughout the country. She's looking for a mentorship to help her really capitalize on what could become a really big opportunity. So with that, I'd like to introduce Sarah. She's a graduate, a 2015 graduate from Candy. Sarah?
Thank you, Bob. Hi, everybody. How are you? As Bob said, my name is Sarah, and I'm the founder of Fit University. So 70% of American adults are overweight or obese. 70%. That's a huge, huge number. And the reason for this is there's a few things, but There's the lack of healthy eating, lack of exercise, and overall, it's a lack of education. And these unhealthy habits that these 70% of American adults have are often developed at an early age before they enter adulthood. And for that reason, it's so important for people to develop healthy habits before they become adults. And for many, this occurs when they enter college. College is a time when individuals are first making independent choices. They get to decide what to eat, when to eat, how to exercise, if at all. It's a time when their parents aren't making them lunch anymore, they don't have soccer practice after school, they're faced with an overabundance of choice and a lack of structure. And for this reason, the transition from high school into college often takes a toll on a college student's health and fitness level. And while a ton of resources do exist to help individuals get fit, lose weight, all this kind of stuff, nothing currently exists online or offline that aims to educate college students to enable them to make healthy choices that they could then sustain throughout the rest of their life. And that's where Fit University comes in. Fit University is a college student's go-to source for all things health and fitness. We help college students get fit and stay fit by providing meaningful content online, so things like workouts you can do in your dorm room, recipes you can make in the dining hall, or how to stay stress-free during finals week. And we build health and fitness communities on college campuses through our Fit University campus chapters. And to tie it all together, we connect health and fitness brands to the college market through customized promotions and event sponsorships. So to give you a little bit of background, I started Fit University when I was a sophomore here at Northeastern. It just started as a blog. I had, all my life, I struggled with my weight, nothing ever too significant, but I tried Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Special K diet, all of those crazy diets that maybe some of you have tried. And if you're anything like me, you found that they didn't work. And if they did work, they weren't sustainable. But the summer in between my freshman and sophomore year, I started working with a personal trainer. I lost 30-something pounds, and when I got to Northeastern, because I had transferred here, I was known as sort of the fitness girl. All my friends asked me advice for the gym, in the gym. They asked me for healthy cooking recipes. And so my sophomore year, I decided to start a blog, just so college students that, hey, it's not that hard to stay fit in college. It's just about knowing what your options are and working your way around campus. Then as time went on, I started to have more and more ideas. I wanted to write a cookbook of recipes you can make in your dorm room, and I wanted to start a fitness club and host fitness events. And so my senior year is when I did those things. October of 2014, in my senior year, I started FitNU, Northeastern's first fitness club. Because one thing that I noticed was that, yeah, there was the gym and there was the running club and club sports, but there was nothing on campus about living a healthy lifestyle and having a community to support you while you do that. And that's such a huge, huge aspect of maintaining that healthy lifestyle is to have that community. So I started FitNU, and as the semester went on, it seemed to be going pretty well. We were getting, at the height, upwards of 30 to 40 people in a classroom in the middle of winter to come to a workout. So people were loving it, people were coming. I also started the Fit University Ambassador Program then, which were students that lived fit and healthy lifestyles, and they started to contribute articles to the website. So what started as just a personal blog for myself was now starting to turn into a platform for other college students to share their passion for health and fitness. And the last thing that I was doing when I was here at Northeastern my senior year was reaching out to different health and fitness brands and making sure that we were providing students with a new health and fitness product that they could try at the end of every workout. Because you have to have options of, okay, well, what can I grab instead of chips or instead of cookies? All right, here's this great peanut butter or this great protein bar. So that was about a year ago. I just graduating here at Northeastern. We just had the one chapter. I graduated in May. I didn't take a regular 9-to-5 job because I was loving what I was doing here at Northeastern with FitNU and Fit University, and I thought, okay, well, if it could work here, why can't it work at BU or BC or any other school? And so now, over this past year, we have expanded we're launched at 8 universities, and we're set to be at 15 universities come the start of the fall semester. And you can see here in this map that a large chunk of that is in the Boston area, but we also go as far west as California at UCLA and as far south at Florida Atlantic University. And what's so amazing about these chapters is that I have done zero outreach in terms of getting these chapters to start. It's been all students coming to me saying, hey, I saw you on social media, or hey, my friend started a chapter at their school and I want to have this at my school too. So it's been really, really incredible to see this just naturally and organically grow. And so now I'm at a point where I think I have something. We're set to be at 15 universities, and I know that brands want to connect to college students, and especially in a niche market like health and fitness. And so, like I said before, I have this idea of acting as that liaison between health brands and the college market, between customized promotions and event sponsorship. But I was a communication major. I don't have any experience in sales. I don't necessarily know what proper price points are, how to negotiate those partnerships. So that's one thing that I certainly need help with. Additionally is creating a team to help me propel Fit University to the next level. I need people to come on board and really help me with that monetization and chapter organization and all that. The last thing that I need assistance with is user experience, because when I started Fit University, it was just a silly little blog on Tumblr, and now it's a place where we're getting 30,000 unique people a month to the website. And so creating a really unique and social-friendly experience on the website. So those are the 3 mentorship needs that I have, and I thank you all very much for taking the time to listen, and I'd love to take any questions.
Sarah. Questions for Sarah? Any questions? All right, well, Sarah will be available at the end, so you can chat with her one-on-one if you'd like, or if you need a quick fitness tip. So our final venture for the afternoon is Jobletics, and Bob is going to introduce Raul also. Oh, you don't need that?
I don't need that. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce Rahul Sharma. He's the founder of Jobletics. So Rahul is he's actually on his hiatus from the Masters in Computer Science program here at Northeastern. He's taken his experience working in the hospitality and restaurant business, and through that experience, he's identified a big problem, which is how do these restaurants, fast food places, keep getting their shifts filled? How do they keep getting workers? So he's launched this business. He's had some great early traction with some great customer feedback, and he's now trying to take it to the next step. So with that, I'd like to introduce Rahul Sharma, founder of Jobletics.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to start off by asking everybody in this room, who here has at one point or another worked in the food service and hospitality industry in some capacity? All right, quite a few folks. So yeah, it turns out 1 out of every 2 people have at one point or another worked in the industry. Now I'd like to ask you guys, what do you guys think is an employer's #1 day-to-day operational complaint? Any takers? It's shift-based. Staffing, you got it, you got it. So I know this problem very intimately. My family actually owns restaurants and retail locations, and the biggest problem my dad continues to have and has had is, of course, turnover, right? So he put me on task to help solve this problem. I went on Craigslist, did the door signs. That didn't work. I ended up even spinning up my own custom job board. We had 3 listings. Employers had profiles, employees had profiles, we had scheduling systems. Those 3 listings all got filled in half the time it would have taken on Craigslist. We went back to the employers 3 weeks after they got hired, and we asked the employers how the employees were doing. They said they were fantastic, but they're gone after 2.5 weeks. So that led us to really understand that the core problem isn't making hiring frictionless, but rather the real problem is people just don't show up, right? So the industry at large is about $700 billion, and that in turn, the shortage costs in turn are about $64 billion, which equates to around 200 million shifts that go unfilled. How is Jobletics addressing this problem? Well, we are Uber staffing meets food service and hospitality. What does that mean? If restaurant X needs a food runner, busser, dishwasher, utility, prep cook, line cook, etc., Jobletics matches them with a W-2 vetted worker to go there and do the shift same day within 75 minutes. Employers love us because we're their safety bed. Employees love us because we give them autonomy and accountability. Now here's what some of our clients are saying. Chris over at 7 Star Street Bistro says, it was great to have Jobletics save the day time and time again. Terrence Rogers over at TBD Foods says it was super convenient. And Matt over at Amsterdam Falafel Shop says the app is very handy. So our current utilization, we have a 4-hour shift minimum. People are generally using us at about an average of 5.5 hours. Our margin's about $14, and in the last 2 months, we've made around $4,000. Our current traction is 35. This is actually old. We're at 30. This is only a couple of days old. We're already at 41 clients. Within the last few days here, 60 clients expected by the end of this May. We have 42 W-2 employees, and we have 100% shift fulfillment. And what differentiates us between some of the sort of front runners in this space? We're truly on demand. We're not just a mobile job board. We are same day, and we're hyper-focused on just food service. We have a vetted and qualified W-2 workforce. That is our W-2 workforce. We don't employ 1099ers. And it's real time. We have sophisticated matching systems for the perfect sort of last minute match. So yeah, this is our team. Was doing computer science here on leave of absence. I'm full-time on Jobletics right now. I've worked at places like Yelp and LinkedIn, and of course, experience in food service hospitality. Co-founder is Gabe. He has his MBA from Brandeis, and of course, his first job was as a busboy. So our mentoring needs, we're getting to a place where we're getting sort of that network effect going. A third of our business is coming from referrals. We're really trying to figure out how to sort of throw gasoline on what's already working and trying to penetrate the market from different sides and really understanding where our true product market fit is. Our goal is ultimately to scale to Greater Boston by the end of this year. And yeah, would love to sort of get help with regards to that. So thank you.
Thank you, Raul. Questions for Raul?
Are you sensitive to this quality of the restaurant? For example, are you into high-end, affluent restaurants?
Yeah, so the fine dining restaurants aren't currently sort of our target market. We are focused kind of on fast casual and even franchises. We just onboarded a group of 8 Papa John's this past weekend. So that fine dining, we have found that it's not necessarily our current target market. So.
But do they have the problem? The people don't show up problem.
Everybody does. That problem exists across the board. It's just for them, kind of de-risking them and showing them that our workforce is in fact of that caliber and has that quality is not as easy as showing it to the other sort of market segments.
You're focusing on the marginal missed shift worker. Why not just take over all the busboy jobs in the restaurant and outsource everything for them?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Raul.
Thank you.
So thank you to all of our ventures this afternoon. We'll break in just a few minutes, and so they'll be at the tables in the back. So Dash here, Fit University in the center, and Jobletics over here. So if you want to talk to the entrepreneurs one-on-one and grill them a little more, you're welcome to do that. But before we totally break, if you were at the lunch in March, you might remember a new segment that we've added to our lunches. We just want to add a little more conversation between mentors and have some shared thoughts and experiences about the mentor process, about the teams that you might be working with. And so we wanted to open the floor to just hear some feedback from the mentors that you might want to share with the community. I think Matt is going to go first.
Hi, thank you. So they asked me to talk a little bit about it. My name is Matt Lebrano. I'm relatively new to the group, so thank you for inviting me to the group itself and the experience that I've had. So I have to say, I was introduced to the concept from my friend Court Davies, who's not here. And it took a few months for me to warm up to it as to what can I offer the group. And what I have to say, just from a macro conversation, it's been a wonderful group, wonderful platform. There's a lot of untapped energy and expertise, I think, from the industry. And what I think that the group at a fundamental level creates is a platform for people like myself to come and be a part of the conversation. So I think you were most interested in me talking about the actual mentoring experience. And so I've had the pleasure of working with a company called ChargeRx. And it's been a really cool process to understand and be able to sit down with people that either are creating innovation or being innovative about taking existing technologies and applying it to new problems. And so the process itself of working with the founders and understanding, what's their vision and why do they have that perspective has been both fun to see and has helped me in some of the things that I'm doing. But it's the process of sitting down with mentors and founders itself, and the idea that many of the founders have to have this laser focus. They've got an idea, they've got to bring it to market, and to give us the platform to say, these are my experiences, this is how I'm taking what you're doing, and this is how we might be able to apply it in a different way or a complementary way. So it's been very rewarding for me just to be able to kind of bring them into some of the conversations I'm already having. It makes me more relevant in the conversation I'm already having. And so I think it's been a great experience and a great opportunity to grow both, help foster some innovation and help me in my day-to-day. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone? Yeah, anyone? Let's see. Mike?
Thanks. Hi, I'm Mike Cavaretta. You can basically take everything that Matt said, including being introduced to the group by Court Davies, and apply that to me. I would just add that another aspect of the experience that I've been really impressed with is my fellow mentors. So I've met some great folks by being involved in the two teams that I'm with, Smartable and Mealtime. And I've learned a lot from them. Hopefully I've contributed something as well. So, it's a great experience on so many levels. Not, of course, helping others is the primary goal, but, I'm personally getting a lot out of it as well. So, well done, everyone.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else want to share venture updates, or Jay over here?
So one of the teams I've had the pleasure of working with is Nightly, and Nightly is making a personal campus safety system. So what that means is that Northeastern, who's going to be their first pilot, has a system that ties in with campus safety, but each student has a device that gives them the ability to contact somebody or to share what's going on with them with their network, essentially a safety net for them. The founder of the company, Abby, has tremendous energy, as there's two other mentors here on the team, and they can attest to that. She's also got a great vision, but she also knows that as a very young startup founder, there's a lot that she doesn't know. And we've wrestled with some pretty pithy issues. I actually made some notes, so I'm going to make sure that I remember what it is we went through that I thought was notable. So, one of the things that they thought they had lined up was a pilot early on with Northeastern. Well, getting that nailed down ended up being a really big issue that they had to deal with, because a real pilot's a lot better than a pilot that you hope to have. And she's done a great job with that. Getting a commitment to the scope and timing, and then managing their expectations. And that's something that she wasn't really thinking about at the time. Taking a harder look at their potential competition, both direct and indirect. We sort of look at what we know and what we think is directly in our wheelhouse. Another issue was they're very focused on the pilot, and with a product that is not yet really ready to roll anywhere, there was a concern about being out selling it, and perhaps they shouldn't be selling it this early. And so getting to the point where they realize that they need to get a lot of market feedback, and they really should be out starting to fill the pipeline, understanding what the sales process is going to be, understanding the objections they're going to have. So that was a big change. And then ultimately, as some of my fellow mentors can talk about, getting to a real MVP spec so they could build something on a timely basis that's cost effective and actually get into that market. And then the final thing was they just applied to Mass Challenge. And it was a great exercise because it really forced them to sort of boil down what their positioning was, the benefits and the key elements that drove the business and created value, and figure out how do they communicate that to somebody else through the application. So it's been a great experience for me, and hopefully we're adding some value as a team.
DJ. Any other thoughts, notes, comments, updates? Dan?
I just want to share a perspective, and that's this mentor note section is really designed to stand up and to talk about challenges you're facing, and not just as so far in the 2 times we've done it, people have talked about the wonderful experiences that they have had, and so don't feel reluctant to stand up and say I'm having this challenge, because chances are people that are engaged are having with ventures are having the same kind of challenges, and this is an opportunity for all of us to learn and all of us to think of ways to better help these ventures. Having said that, from the venture perspective, we specialize in first-time entrepreneurs starting ventures, really, and so many of the mentors in this room have deep experience in launching, successful and mature ventures. I would urge you not to be afraid to plunge into an engagement with a venture where some pretty basic stuff is being thought through and decided. It's tremendously exciting, and I can tell you from the venture's perspective, there's deep appreciation for somebody who has a lot of experience to spend the time slopping around trying to figure stuff out. The students learn that these experienced entrepreneurs don't always have the answers, that they're as lost as they are, but together through a process of thinking it through and honesty and directness, all parties learn and the ventures progress. So it is just a helpful reminder, I think, as that sign says, the one that you can't read because it's vertical. This is the Center for Entrepreneurship Education, and we are deeply committed to educating first-time entrepreneurs in the process of putting them together. And you will learn just how smart these young entrepreneurs are and how much they have to bear. So, once again, thank you all for doing this. Again, to summarize, don't be afraid to share your concerns in these forums that will follow the presentations. It's good. That's how we all learn. But most of all, thank you for helping in this process of developing both ventures and entrepreneurs. And while I have the mic in my hand, I would like to ask the steering committee if after a period of time when you've met with some ventures, we could meet in that corner. Our approach is now to have on a regular basis full steering committee meetings that aren't part of these lunches, and then to use these lunches as an opportunity to get direct feedback from the steering committee on how we can improve the programming of the lunches or other aspects of the programming. So in about 10 or 15 minutes, I will be over in that corner and I will whistle. So thank you very much.
So just please remember, if you're interested in working with any of these ventures or you think you can help in any way, please just write it down in that blue paper. We'll collect those. You can either give it to Catherine or myself, or we'll go around the tables and pick them up if you just want to leave it in your place. And then, as Dan mentioned, we'll have the steering committee gather informally. Our next lunch is on July 20th. And with that, thank you all for coming. Again, our ventures will be DashElectric over here, Fit University in the center, and Jobletics. So that's where you can find them. Thank you very much to all our ventures and our spotlight speaker, even though she had to run. But thank you.